Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam Nijantargatam Pashyanmayaya Atmayaya Bhairivot Bhutam Yatha Nidraya Yat Sakshat Kurute Prabodha Samaye Swatmanamevadvayam Tasmai Shri Gurumurtaye Namaidam Shri Dakshinamurtaye. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankarabhavai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvisha Vahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Yajjagrato duramudaitti daivantadu suptasya tathaivaiti durangaman jyotisham jyotirekam tanme manah Shiva sankalpamastu yena karmaణ్యపసో మనీషిణో yajñe कृण्वन्ति विदधेषु धीराः यदपूर्वं यक्षमन्तः प्रजानां तन्मे मनः शिव सङ्कल्पमस्तु यत्प्रज्ञानमुत चेतो धृतिश्च यज्ज्योतिरन्तरमृतं प्रजासु यस्मान्नऋते किञ्चन कर्म क्रियते तन्मे मनः शिव सङ्कल्पमस्तु येनेदं भूतं भुवनं भविष्यत् परिगृहीतममृतेन सर्वम् येन यज्ञस्तायते सप्तहोता तन्मे मनः शिव सङ्कल्पमस्तु यस्मिन् ऋचः सामयजूगुंषि यस्मिन् प्रतिष्ठिता रथनाभाविवाराः यस्मिन् कश्चित्तकुं सर्वमोतं प्रजानान् तन्मे मनः शिव सङ्कल्पमस्तु सुषारथिरश्वानि वयन्मनुष्यान् नेमीयते भीषुभिर्वाजिन इव हृत्प्रतिष्ठं यदजिरञ्जविष्ठम् तन्मे मनः शिव सङ्कल्पमस्तु
So in the first verse, six aspects of manaha, which is being addressed by us as an instrument, as something who is very close to me but not me, really an expression of Maya Shakti. So the mind is really the Maya Shakti. And through this mind, I'm transported away from me when I get up in the morning without even realizing it. And then I confirm that going away by having a very clear vision of things around me, which all look very real to me. So that is another aspect of the mind. And the same mind, if it is put into a Sankalpa towards Shiva, is able to actually distinguish between real and unreal, about myself as a sadvastu, and eventually seeing the non-difference between Paramatma and Jivatma. Same mind. So that's another third part of it. Then after roaming around the whole day, being externally focused, it gets tired and comes back to me and sleeps with me, sleeps into me. And even when I am engaged, not only is it illuminating all the objects, but it's illuminating the instruments of seeing, all the sense organs and the organs of action. So that's another aspect of it. And finally, once the understanding of the non-difference between Paramatma and Atma is clarified, it dissolves completely. It becomes one of the Atma, one with the Atma. Even though it stays open life after life, seeking, but it allows me to illuminate myself as something which is not alive, not changing. I am the very truth that I'm seeking. So these are the 6 things that we saw in the first verse. So now in the second verse, Yena karmani apasaha manishinaha yajñe krinvanti vidateshu dhiraha. I'm not chanting. Yada purvam yaksham antaf prajanam tan me mana Shiva sankalpamastu. So now some other aspects of the mind are highlighted, and through the highlighting of that manaha, I request the mind to turn its focus on Shiva, which is the very nature of the Atma. So this is the second verse. So here I think what I will do is to simply focus on a few words and take the word meanings, and then perhaps in the next class we may not have a full hour and a quarter today, and so we'll see just the word meanings, or most of the word meanings, maybe not all, and then next week we will put them together into a sentence and the meaning of the sentence. This explanation by Swami Mukhandananda, I did not realize it until I started looking into it, is even longer and more detailed than the first one. The first one goes up to page 32 from number 3, so it's about 30 pages, and the second one goes to 40 pages and has a very long, and I think I will probably not spend the full explanation of every possible concept of this, but give you the highlights of the concepts of the second verse. So I won't go through every one of Swami Akhandananda's discourses of the second verse. So here, the aspect of the mind which is being highlighted in the second verse is talked about by the word yajna. The yajna is the focus of this verse. All around yajna and how the mind plays a role in performing yajna. So this is a very useful and a very important transformation of our thoughts by understanding what is yajna. So Swamiji also says, and we all know this, that under normal circumstances, yajnas are considered to be something very specialized that you do in temples, or perhaps in your own home if you want to do a homa with fire ceremony and so on. You can do that. But that is how we look upon yajna, as something which is separate from my daily transactions, my talking to people and doing things and so on and so forth. But then once in a while I go to a temple and participate in a yajna. Not all of us do, but many of us do. But we understand the word yajna as being very technically prayerful aspect of visiting temples. That's how we understand yajna. And truth of the matter is, this is not true. So why is it not true? I need to understand what is meant by the word yajna and how it is prevalent in the whole world, with the exception of human beings. So we'll see that the entire Vishwa and Virat in the waking world is involved in yajna, and human beings are the only ones who have a rather constrained view of what yajna is, and that constrained view of what yajna is what is keeping us from continue to be a limited person. So if you want to see the reality that I am an unlimited person, not a limited person, then I need to understand how yajna is being performed by everything in this whole world, and to appreciate it and to become proficient in the way I also performed yajna, as a kind of a sadhana, as an instrument of my transforming myself to be an infinite person. This is what this particular verse is all about. It has a lot of ancillary things around it. Manishinaha krinvanti vidatheshu dhiraha apurvam yakshamantaf, etc., etc. So we'll go into all that. But the central theme of the second verse is called yajna. Okay. So here Swami Akhandananda ji starts by saying, yajna of a vriksha. Vriksha means a tree. You look at a tree and you say, oh, this is, a tree and a plant and so on. Then you don't think much about it. But if you really look in depth about the yajna being continuously performed by a tree, it is amazing. First of all, so yajna actually, if we want, we can have a definition of the word yajna. Let's do that first. The definition is ijjate, aradhana kurute. Ijjate means that it is performing a prayer, performing an act of worship to Ishvara. Ijjate aradhana kurute Bhagavan Ishvara anena, by this, by which a worship of Ishvara is being done, is called yajna. That's the definition. So now let's go back to the yajna performed by a tree. So if you now think about it, the tree either gives you fruits or gives you flowers, offers the flowers to the world. Whether the world looks at the flowers or not, it's up to you and I. But the tree and the plant just offer its beauty. And in some cases, more than a beauty, it provides nutrients. And in Ayurveda's case, all aspects of the tree is very important. So it offers fruits, it offers flowers, it offers leaves that are useful, it offers the stem itself, it offers the bark which is covering the stem. I think I remember this from one of the email videos that I saw, where there are some experts, Ayurvedic doctors in India that specialize in cancer. And I saw this very interesting video. There was a very old, 90 plus old Ayurvedic doctor who would ask people to come by, quickly describe their symptoms, and write down which bark tree will be given as the medicine. So people come during the day and they quickly describe. They don't have very minutes. They just describe there's a long line. And so everybody is given just a few minutes to say what kind of cancer do they have. And he's quickly writing it all down. And his assistant also writes it down. And at the end of the day, then he directs the assistant to go to the various trees in the garden, huge garden that he has, and shave off certain bark from the tree and put it in separate containers and boil them and make a kashayam from it. And then when the kashayam is ready, then the patient is asked to come back and he's given that. And the person who was doing the video said, I really saw results, very positive results of this in many, many cases. So the tree gives the worship to the whole world by all aspects of it. Flowers, stem, leaves, then the bark, and the sap of it. Sometimes the sap is used as in a medicine. And certainly if you think about nothing else, its ability to give back oxygen to the world. There'll be no oxygen if there were no trees. So Swamiji says, just look at this. The tree is totally engaged. And not only that, but then the seeds of the tree. And the ability to give itself rebirth with having its progeny, new plants. It is continuously engaged in a yajna towards Ishvara. It is Ishvara's creation. And it is supporting the Ishvara's creation. It is actually designed by Ishvara to support the creation. This is the yajna. And this is just a tree. But if you look at every being, whether it is living or non-living, in this case it was plant which was living. But even in the non-living case, like Prithvi, the earth, it is engaged in providing nutrients for plants, for providing all the senses that we can gather, like smell, and it provides katorata, means solidity, for people to stand on. And it follows the rule of the rotational, the seasonal rotation, the gravitational forces. It follows it. It is the yajna. It says that people need me. They need me to stand up, stand on. They need me to provide them with all the aushadhis, the nutrients. It does that. Same thing with water. If the water is not provided, then I don't know what will happen. In fact, it provides us with the most beautiful rasa. The taste of pure cold water is unmatched. You cannot compare that with man-made concoctions like drinks, Coca-Cola. No. That's really speaking, the taste of water itself is rasa, what is called rasa, is very beautiful. That will come again in the karma and a little bit later on this rasa. Same thing with all aspects of it. Surya, most important creation of Ishvara, that it provides us with light and heat, and energy that can be transferred into other sources like batteries. Even if the sun is not shining, I have these lamps that are lighting up. They can be stored. Electricity, all Surya. Agni, fire, ability to cure things and to give us the warmth. Yajna, yajna, yajna. Akasha, ability to store the very subtle forces like sound, like gravitational forces, akasha, and gives the space for people and doesn't interfere. Whatever you want to do in space, it's fine. It doesn't complain. Not affected by pollution. That's your job. Yajna. So, if we start to appreciate this, then we can understand that even in our life, there is yajna going on. People sharing, people taking, people giving back. And the discipline, the dharma, all of that is based on yajna. And the only thing that happens is that human beings, because of their ignorance, do not follow dharma. You see? Because transactions, daily transactions and so on, if done appropriately, dharma means appropriate action. Now we don't even have to, you have to even say, teach me what is appropriate action. We don't. We know what appropriate actions are. What our conscience says, that is the appropriate action. If somebody needs me, I need to help. If I don't, then I'm violating yajna. And so this is where the human beings fall down, because they do not see that there is yajna going on continuously, mutually dependent on each other. But due to my faulty actions of not understanding that, I isolate myself, I become more biased. I help some but not the others. Or I don't help at all. As in the aim for seva, for example, is as Swamiji has said, really this is an objective for becoming contributors. So to become a viable contributor is to perform yajna. And the whole world is performing yajna, the nature is performing yajna, but not understanding that, I feel I don't need to. It's our choice. If we don't think that yajna is necessary, then the offshoot of that is staying as a limited being. But if we aspire to expand our nature, eventually to find out that any kind of limitation is really just false, as we've been seeing, then to appreciate yajna as a very natural way that the whole world is. We cannot function in the world without yajna. If the trees say, I'm tired of giving, I think I'm not going to do that anymore. And the same thing happens in all aspects of it. The whole Srishti will break down. Just to maintain Srishti, you need yajna. And to appreciate the appropriateness of my actions in life based on dharma. In fact, sometimes the word dharma and yajna are interchangeably used. It's really the same thing. In fact, Swami Akhandananda pointed that out. Let me take that verse out from in Purusha Suktam. Here it is. Yagyena yagyam ayajanta devaha tani dharmani prathamanyasan. So this verse points out that dharma and yajna are really one and the same thing. The appropriateness of my actions is yajna. And the appropriateness of the trees and Surya exactly is yajna. Okay, so that is the beginning of the understanding of this verse, is to understand the nature of yajna. Okay, so now another thing about yajna. Yajna is the awareness that the things we use for yajna is actually borrowed from the person that I'm doing yajna to. So, before I go into that, let us see the word meaning of this word called vidatheshu. So I can do a little bit of more word explanation before I go back to this aspect of yajna. So let's look at this. So in the first verse, the first line of the verse, it says, Yena karmani apasaha manishinaha yajne krinvanti vidatheshu dhiraha. So I can do some changes in that. So he says, Yena means by which mind. Manishinaha dhiraha. Manishinaha dhiraha, both referring to the same person. The wise, the one who have understood how the world is being run and how I should be a part of that instead of isolating myself. To those people, Manishina, Dhiraha, we'll go into those words a bit more detail later on, but for now, Yena Manishinaha Dhiraha Yajne Krindvanti Vidatheshu Satsu. So this word Vidatheshu is explained by Swami Akhandananda very nicely. It's a very complex Sanskritam construct. It comes from the word vid. So vid means to know. But then it gets translated into another thing, atha. Vid athe, atha, means that the knowledge of how to do it. And in fact, the meaning of this is called samagri. This is why I took a detour, because I want to explain about samagri. Samagri means, as you know, the things that you use to do yajna is called samagri. And in fact, we looked into this that on Saturday also, that if you want to undertake a long journey, then we looked into sadhana chatushtaya, which is really samagri chatushtaya, fourfold samagri. Viveka vairagya, shatka sampatti, and mumukshutvam is a samagri. So samagri means the important things used in your karma are called samagri. So for example, if you don't have it, the Pandit will give you, but it will be good that if you bring some samagri with you. And so all of that, for example, is ghee for pouring it over the wood pieces, sugandhi, all those kinds of things is called samagri. So vidatheshu means samagri. It's a very construct. Say, he has explained this in his commentary on how it was obtained from vid to vidatha. So then it says vidatheshu satsu. Vidatheshu. So it says Sati Saptami. Yeah. Vidatheshu yajneshu havisu satsu. There's a long construct, but meaning that the samagri used in the yajna is called vidatheshu satsu. Vidatheshu mean vidatha, and when the samagri being there, that's the meaning of the Sati Saptami. The samagri being there, the manishina dhiraha yajne krinvanti karmani. And then the only thing that we have not done is apasaha. So we will do that later on. But now you understand the construct of the first line, yena, by which mind, manishina, the wise people, and also the dhira, courageous people. And we have already seen the word dhira. We'll again visit it a little bit more detail later on. But here, clubbed together, manishina dhira, yajne karmani krindvanti vidatheshu satsu. So now let's go back to vidatheshu satsu, the samagri. So now we can say that another aspect of yajna that we should understand to get a complete picture of what is going on is that the samagri is also obtained from the person that I am doing the yajna to. It doesn't come from any place else. It's kind of like, these are your, it's a recognition. Really, it's more of a recognition. So when you do the samagri, you say these are your things that I'm using to worship you. So for example, supposing you're doing a puja to Prithvi Devata, then you use, what do you use? You use akshata for almost everything. Akshata. You use kumkumam. You use gandha. You use flowers. Are these not all obtained from Prithvi? Are you going to look for some place outside of Prithvi to get these kind of things? So vidatheshu dhiraha means that the samagri, the attitude of the samagri is, my gosh, I'm all getting these things from you, and I'm just offering your things back to you. So this is another aspect of yajna. And so when the manishinaha and dhiraha yajne kinvanti karmani, they know with the attitude, my goodness, I'm just borrowing things from somebody and offering it back to them. So, idam na mama, this is not mine. This is really yours. I got it from you and I'm returning it to you. What a funny thing I'm doing. It's not like I'm borrowing it from someplace else and giving it to you. That's the meaning. So, the yajna here means that I become more aware of how things are being run in this world. So this can be extended, really speaking, that even everything in this world is given to me in one form or the other. At most I can do is to change some things and come up with some cell phones and so on and so forth. But really all the samagri is there. And if I don't offer it back to the world and holding it back to myself, this is mine, this money is mine, this house is mine, then I am continuing to falsely feel limited. So this is the meaning of yajna, is to be aware of everything that is going on. So here it says, Tvadiyam vastu govinda tubhyam eva samarpayami. Okay, that's one thing. Another aspect of samagri, Swami Akhandananda gives it some time to explain this. Use the samagri that has been given to you. Every person in the world is endowed with some guna. Some guna. Whatever form of guna there are. So the varna system is based on that. That some people have brahmana guna, then kshatriya guna, vaishya guna, shudra guna. But there is a guna of everything, the ability to do things. Use that ability as samagri. So what it means is to try to behave in the world contrary to my own gunas, which I have been given, is not yajna. It is not yajna. Like for instance, suppose, I mean this is ridiculous, you will never knock on the door to your neighbor and say, can I please have $100? He says, sure, I can give it to you, but what do you want to use it for? I want to give $100 to charity. And I know you have a lot of money. And I'm kind of short on cash. So I just want to give your money, but I want to do something really good. How ridiculous would that be? So your guna is that you do not really have money. Fine. Help in the way you are capable of. Do not try to be something that you are not, because that is not yajna. So one part of yajna is that give what you are capable of giving, but do give what you are capable of doing. Yes, Swami Akhandananda gives a couple of interesting examples, real life examples. Okay, so there was one rich man. So he was very popular Mahatma. So he attracted a lot of people, including the very well-to-do people who would ask for some. So, so one rich man, one sage came and said, "Sir, my business is not doing very well. And can you please do a prayer so that my business picks up again? And I promise that," now he didn't mention the percentage, but let's say 10%. Whatever profit I make from now on for a while, I will give it back to you. And that's my seva for you. This is my seva. What is the seva? That you please do some prayers for me, and then a good portion of that, maybe more than 10%, I'll give it back to you. That is my yajna. This is not yajna. This is a barter system, has nothing to do with yajna. And if your business is not doing well and you cannot give me any money to support the cause that I have, that's okay. Or if you want to reduce it, that's okay. But to ask for some return so that you could give me more money is not yajna. Then he gave a second example of another rich man who came and said, "Swamiji, I just want to serve you. I want to do seva to you." So Swamiji said, "Okay, all right, what kind of seva do you want to do?" He says, "You know what I'd like to do? I would like to give you a massage whenever I come." Swamiji said, "What?" He's a very wealthy guy and so on. And he's not trained to be a masseuse, but he thinks that somehow if I can just touch the Swami's body and make it more comfortable and so on and so forth, some good things will come back to me. Swamiji is absolutely ridiculous. That's not your job. If I need a masseuse to give me some massage, I will ask that person. His guna is he's an expert masseuse. That's not your job. I don't want your money or anything like that. If you want to do, think about some seva which is capable of yourself, then please do it. So I think that's another point of doing this. So the upshot of that is that please understand the gunas that Ishvara has given you. You can do not say that I don't have any gunas. Ishvara has given me nothing. It's not true. Not true. Whatever it is, then do the yajna with that, rather than trying to be someone bigger than what you are not, that what you are, which you are not, and then somehow giving Ishvara a prayer that make me a big guy, so then I can start giving donations to people. That is not yajna. whatever donation you can give, small or big, doesn't make any difference. Just give that. So my wife's niece had celebrated her birthday. This is about 10 years back or so. And she said, instead of giving me any money, meet me at some kind of an organization in San Francisco where they store food for the needy. And so they collect it from people, and there's actually a huge hall. We all went there, I remember that. And we helped them to pack the goods. Sometimes you have to open boxes, put them in the right places. Sometimes you have to put different boxes together so that it becomes a complete meal. And then they open up the shop for the needy. Very beautiful thing. So just this last couple of days ago, and then we had not gone back to it. But only yesterday, the TV was on and I just happened to walk by. And they were talking about something very similar to that, which was very well organized. Everyone was, they had gotten a lot of land and so on and so forth to, they have not land, but they have a big building in San Francisco. So the NBC Bay Area was broadcasting how we can help. And what they have come up with is a very beautiful thing I hadn't seen, I hadn't realized it. And you may already know this, I'm sure, that there is a $10 card which is at each checkout stand at Safeway. So after you pay for your groceries and goods and so on, you can be asked, do you want to give a $10 donation to this outfit? And if you say yes, they quickly scan it and add it to your bill. I think it's a very beautiful idea, honestly. And if you want to give, $20 or $30, you scan it 2 or 3 times. I was just so impressed by it. I told my wife, I said, she says, I kind of do that sometimes. I said, please do it every time. This is so wonderful idea. And so whatever one can give, $10, $20, $30, to really give to people that are not just your and mine, but to someone who needs it, that is yajna. So I'll just end. I won't take that much more time. I also had the last week I think I caught a virus from my granddaughter, and I've also had fever for the last 1 week, today also. So I'm limited energy today, but hopefully I'll be okay by Saturday. So to end, I want to explain the word apasaha. Apasaha. So apasaha means by waters. So the word in Sanskritam, believe it or not, there is no singular or dual. It's only plural. And there are a lot of reasons for that which I don't fully understand, and I don't have the time to really read up and so on. So, in up means water. So what happens is then in a yajna, the water stands for karma. And karma, not just any karma, but one which is done with what is called a focused mind, vyavasthita manaha. And so this is one of the advantages of going to a temple, that when the pujari is doing the yajna, your mind is not unfocused, or it shouldn't be unfocused, and it usually is not. It would be only a person who does not have any shraddha towards the yajna who will be just opening up your cell phone and kind of looking around and so on and so forth. That doesn't happen. Shouldn't happen. Because you're now focused on yajna, which is basically a focused karma. That focused karma is characterized by water. So the water in the yajna represents karma. And very beautifully, I tell you, this is something I understand that. Beautiful to understand that. The water represents rasa. As I was saying earlier, that there is nothing as enjoyable as pure water, drinking pure water. Nothing. So the water should be looked upon as rasa, as enjoyment. And if one does yajna with the right attitude, it is very pleasant and rasa. Nobody does, oh my gosh, why am I doing all this? I've got some work to do, maybe the game is on or something like this. I'm wasting my time. No one does that. Only the children who have no exposure to yajna. But adults that willingly go to a temple to do yajna come back with a very calm mind, very enjoyable rasa to the whole thing. That whole karma, the whole yajna is very, very pleasant. It leaves you peaceful. So that has to be discovered. That is just this is why going to a temple and doing the yajna there is just an introduction. The idea is that it's not temple or non-temple, the whole thing is a temple. And even in the advice given is, please find some work which you enjoy doing. And the enjoyment has to be learned. Here Swami Akhandananda ji points out that he says that he knows this for a fact because he was there when Gandhiji was there. And Swami Akhandananda is an expert in Bhagavatam, Bhagavat Purana. He's an expert in that. He was well known in India, and people would really, even Mahatmas will come and listen to him. So he knows a lot about Bhagavatam and so on. So it appears that Mahatma Gandhi tried to reach an understanding of Bhagavatam, Mahatma Gandhi, and couldn't do it. He just did not get the sense of it until somebody told him that you should listen to a person called Madan Mohan Malviya. So there was a leader, actually, he was a political leader also, and also a very wise person, well versed in Bhagavatam. So somebody told Mahatma Gandhi, please go listen to him. And he did. And he says from that point on, the rasa of Bhagavatam came to me. So here, in finishing up the definition of apasaha manishinaha, it means that when you start doing yajna in the whole, you being aware of what needs to be done, you become so enjoyable. The whole thing becomes so enjoyable. That is the meaning of apasaha. So I think with that I will leave it for the rest of the things for next time. I don't know how much more classes that will be for the second chapter, second verse rather. Anyway, so the second verse is Yena karmanya apasaha manishinaha yajne krinvanti vidatheshu dhiraha yada purvam yakshamantaf prajanam tanme mana Shiva Sankalpamastu. So we will now go into the second line next time and understand the word apurvam and yaksham. These are the two important words in the second part of the verse that we will do next time. So with that, I'm going to terminate a little bit early today. Om Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Maitri, that's interesting. The giving tree. Madan Mohan Walia founded BHU. I didn't know that. I think I had heard that, but I've forgotten it. Mary Penn, are you in the East Coast? My gosh, it'd be so late for you at this time. I think I'm not sure. I think I recall you're from the East Coast of the country. I think I'm very looking forward to setting up a Zoom call. I was hoping to do it by tomorrow, but I'm not well enough yet to organize it. I want Raj to come and just train me on Zoom a little bit. So maybe postpone that by a few days. I hope I'll be okay soon. And then we will organize it. And if not the next class, next Saturday, but the following Saturday, I think let's plan to have a Zoom call. We'll see. And then if that goes well, I'd like to do that as a very regular feature of our classes. So we spend more time in dialoguing than we do now. All right, thank you, and I will see you next week. Thanks for your good wishes. Hari Om.